Hello there. It's me, that divination witch. I hope you're doing well. I'm back with another witchy video, and this is in response to one of your comments. At time of filming, I recently made a video speaking about deity confirmation readings. It's basically because I offer them, I do them a lot, and it was a case of discussing whether they're needed or not, because although I do them a lot, I've also been a customer on the other side, and yes, there are bogus people out there, and you don't always need them, but sometimes they are useful. What I would say is go check out the video if you're interested. Sometimes they are useful because with the best will in the world, it's hard to pick up on specifically which deity it is around you. But on this video, someone said that I basically missed the mark, and that I could have helped people more. And at the time I was like, well, I don't see how I could have. I do videos all the time explaining different red flags to look out for and scams and things like this, but I've decided, all right, I will make a video about red flags, what to look out for in your tarot readers. So this can be applicable on deity confirmations or any reading for that matter. So I'm going to get into what I can think of to look out for when you're getting a reading. Let's get into it. If you're new here, just to quickly say hello, my name's Sarah, I'm that divination witch, and I hope you stick around. It's a safe space. You can ask whatever you want within reason. Just ask that people are polite to each other, and I like to keep it friendly because everyone's got to start somewhere and ask questions. I don't judge, ask away. And I've also got a link tree below if you would like to get a reading from me or support the channel further. I am teaching tarot myself as well at the moment on Patreon and memberships. All the info's below. I would be grateful if you could check it out. No pressure if you can't. But everything does go back into the channel. It helps me do what I do, and thank you. If you are one of those people who have supported me, I'm grateful. Thank you. This is what I can think of, some red flags for tarot readers, psychic readers in general. When it comes to tarot readers, you can get tarot readings several different ways. You can get them in person. You can get them over the telephone, ringing a tarot line. You can get them on video chats, or they might write out the reading to you. So there are a few different ways that you can get a reading, and this is the same for a psychic reading as well. It's a big umbrella that covers a lot of things here. Red flag number 1. This is for any reader, psychic, medium, tarot, whatever sort of reader you're going to. If they're asking you too many bloody questions at the start, that is a red flag. So for me, I like to read tarot. I do some mediumship stuff, but I need to know the basics at least. At the bare minimum, I need your name. I can technically read people off a username. Not everyone can do that. Basically, the reason we need your name is we need your energy. I can read someone's energy off just a username. Even if it's something like on TikTok, when you get user and all the numbers, I can still read them. Why? Because you've took the time to make that account. And if somebody is, I'm not blowing my own horn here, I'm not trying to sound cocky, but if somebody is in tune, you can normally tell if someone's genuine or not. I've been able to tell on YouTube comments if someone's being a troll or being genuine. I've even been able to weed out fake accounts, but that's just for me to know. I'm not going to get into pathetic dramas like that. But you can read somebody off their name, and you will need their name. To make it more accurate, it's good to have an accurate full name, including middle names and surnames, a name you're known by. Someone might have a nickname or a different name, and some readers ask for a date of birth as well. I sometimes get the date of birth because it narrows it down even more, helps you just tune into somebody's energy and the way you do it. Everyone does it differently. But I don't think you'd really need more than that. And then your question, really. So, yes, you can blind read on someone. It's called blind reading when you don't know what the heck they want. I sometimes just say general reading. When someone hasn't had a question, you just go in and see what pops up. That's it, basically. That's what blind reading is. But if there's something specific that you want to know, you're going to need the question, Does so-and-so fancy me? Is me and so-and-so going to get married? Am I going to get the job? Something like that. You don't have to say, am I going to get the job at Specsavers? I don't know why I've just said Specsavers, but to be the optician or blah, blah, blah. Like, you don't have to go that in depth. You just say, am I going to get the job? If it's a relationship reading, it can be helpful to know the other person's name because it will narrow it down. And whether you're actually in a relationship or not, sometimes I get readings asking, I don't know, like just general love reading. I used to get it all the time on TikTok, and I'd be like, right, well, this can mean one of two things, depending on, well, if they're with someone, it could mean that it's a new start in the relationship, could mean someone being proposed to, for example, like the next stage. If they're not with someone, this could be a brand new relationship. So you might ask, well, are you with someone already or not? And that's as much as you need to really know. But asking too much specifics is a big red flag. And especially mediumships asking, like, literally, if they're even asking, have you lost anyone recently or whatever, you could make it up. And, there are grifters out there that will go off common names and stuff like this. And is there a John in the audience, or stuff like that? It's a bit of a red flag. Now, I know myself, when spirit, through my clairaudience, when they give you a name, it can be hard to understand sometimes because you might think it's one thing and it's something similar. So I wouldn't write someone off if, say, that, I don't know, they got a name, I don't know, David, but it was Javid. That Javid is a less common name in the Western world than David, but they could sound similar in spirit. I have that all the time when the gods. I do a lot of deity readings, so a deity will say their name, and I'm like, what have you just said? I had someone called Teles come through. He's not a deity, he's more of a spirit. It's Heracles' son. This is just recently, so I remember. Teles with a T came through, Teles. That could have been Veles, who is a Slavic god of the underworld, but it wasn't. But it could have been, if you see what I mean. So don't write them off truly for that, because it's bloody hard. But if they're really probing you, that's a red flag, yeah. When it comes to in-person readings, I recently helped someone I used to work with this. They got an in-person reading of someone and it was very vague. If the reading's so vague, I would say that's a bit of a, do they know what they're doing? They got a reading off a fortune teller. They do it in the UK, like a seaside town. This was at Blackpool, someone at Blackpool. And the reading was very vague. And they pulled 6 tarot cards, and my friend sent me a picture of these tarot cards and said, Sarah, what do you think of this? And to me, it was like the top row was, she's been worrying about money and stuff, but now it's like you've got a new job and things will work out, sort of thing. Whereas the tarot reader, the person that got the reading off, was like, oh, you've got soft hands, so you've got a soft heart, and very airy-fairy. I forgot exactly what they'd said, but it was a very general reading, like, oh, you don't have to worry about money now, but no specifics into it. If it's so general like that, that's a bit of a red flag. It could either mean they're a novice or they're a bit of a grifter and only know the basics. And, well, if it's that generalised, that could be a red flag as well. But again, it can be difficult if it's, say, a blind reading, it can be difficult to know what someone needs to hear. But I normally pick up on a bit more than just like, oh, you've got a soft heart, and okay, right, and so that could be a red flag. Let's think. When it's very, very similar to this, when it's very generalized, as in, I've seen this happen online because sadly I've been the subject of readings like this, because I sometimes get readings online out the blue just because I feel like I need a second opinion. If you ever get a reading that just basically gives you the meaning of the tarot cards, I wouldn't say they're fake, but I would say they're pretty new at this. And if you want something more in depth, you're not going to get it from these people. So I've literally had it where they make it look all fancy on Etsy, and they make a lovely PDF with graphics. Looks great. You've got 3 of Pentacles. That means planning and money and blah, 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 and whatever. And then you got the Hermit, which means solitude and introspection and blah, blah, blah. And then you got Wheel of Fortune, which is good luck, destiny, fate. And I've literally had that before. If they're literally like saying, right, these are your 3 cards, copy and paste sort of meanings, there's nothing wrong with that if the price reflects it, you know. Everyone's got to start somewhere. Once upon a time, you know, I chucked myself into the deep end when I was learning to read for other people. And I did loads of TikTok lives, and I did loads of freebies to get learning. And literally I would be looking at the tarot book. You know, if you were on a live reading with someone and they're looking at a book, or they've got beginner cards, it doesn't necessarily mean they're bad. Everyone has to start somewhere. But don't expect something really in-depth and accurate. Doesn't mean that they were wrong, but it's not going to like really get into the nitty-gritty of things, you know. So just be wary of that. It's not necessarily wrong, but if they're just, you know, if they're charging 30 quid for that or something, then it's a red flag. At least charge like £1, you know, something minimal for that. Another red flag, I suppose similar, but you kind of know what you're going to get into with this, is the tarot lines. And I worked on one not last year, the year before, or it might have been early last year. I lasted it like a month or so, not even that. It was great because you could pick your own times that you did it for, and how long you wanted to do it for, and what you were going to charge. I just went on the lowest. They called it tariffs. On this particular line I was on, I went on the lowest one because I don't like to take people's eyes out, but I barely got any money off it. I got about 40 quid and all my time doing it. It was not worth it. It was not going to pay the bills. But there were some names on there that were definitely going to be paying their bills with that. You're being charged a premium price no matter which one of these lines you call up. And I'm not saying everyone on there isn't genuine, because there are people genuine on there who are doing it with the best intentions. They've got a skill, but they need to pay the bills. But you as a person, if you're the customer ringing up, even if you get a genuine person, you're rushing them through it because you've only got, say, 20 minutes or however long credit, because it's costing a fortune. So you're asking a million questions, and it's quick fire. So I'm not necessarily getting at readers on this, not all the time, but I do feel that on these lines sometimes the readers will be less than honest because of the time constraints. So they'll just say whatever the customer wants to hear. I get that. Well, I would get that all the time when I was on there. I'd be like, well, hold up, I'm not getting this at all. What the hell? They'll just say, oh yes, you're going to find love in two months, blah de blah, whatever they want to hear. Gas them up just to get the money. Even though there's some genuine people on those lines, don't ring them. Pay a bit money, pay the same money to get a reading on Etsy or something even, or I don't know, someone on Facebook or whatever, wherever, you know, try and find a reputable person, look at reviews no matter what platform it's on, look at reviews. But those lines, and it's made me think of another red flag. People that hype themselves up a bit too much, and it's an old school trick. Because there was some people on these tarot lines that were like, as seen on TV, world renowned psychic, and some of them at the sideshow, like what I mentioned before, fortune tellers at the seafront, oh, I've read celebrities' fortunes. So what? So what? You could have read David Beckham's fortune, and does that mean that you've got like a hotline to God? A hotline to the spirit world? No. It's typical sales tactics. So if you've seen stuff like that, red flag. And in the deity culture, paganism culture, circles that I'm in, this is the people that are like, I'm high priestess and initiated for 5 years with Hecate, and I am the key bearer and the torch bearer and the whatever. Make up some bullshit names. Like, I'm sorry, it's all well and good if you are genuinely part of an order, a temple, a movement, a religion. That's great. And you might be those things. You might have worked hard to get to that point. Cool. But that doesn't mean you're any better of a reader than me or anyone. There are some that are genuinely a high priestess or whatever of a deity. But some people slap the word high priestess on anything. They make up their own thing and say they're the high priestess, specifically with deity confirmations. If they're only confirming one pantheon, unless it was requested by the customer, I personally think that's a bit of a red flag. When I do these confirmations, I get deities I've never even heard of, even to this day, and I've been doing this a while, and I think I've met hundreds at this point. Like I've mentioned in videos recently, Dali, Tulugak, I even met a Brazilian moon goddess once, JC I think she's called. Why the heck would I have even known that? Like I didn't. I had to find out the long and hard way. So if you have all these possibilities, all these historical possibilities of different nuances to energies and deities, like, why would it always be Aphrodite? Why would it always be Poseidon or whoever? It doesn't mean that Poseidon or Aphrodite don't care about people, don't get me wrong. But if it's always the mainstream names, I personally think, how skilled is that reader? That's just me, and I'm not being nasty. Because deities are archetypes, whether you want to believe they were once aliens or whatever, or we've all got our different theories, but they are reflections of the people and cultures they come from. So in this modern world, and there's been so many different cultures throughout time, you're not always going to get the Greek gods coming to you. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but it would make me raise questions unless it was something that's requested or a specific sort of reading that they only call on the Greek gods. Then I'd be thinking, why are you only talking about the popular ones or Norse gods or whatever, the mainstream ones? That would raise a red flag for me. When it comes to written readings, it's going to depend. Because some readings, if tarot cards are needed, they should be sending you at least a picture of the cards. But not all readings are to do with tarot or divination methods. I channel readings sometimes, like my past life ones. I've got nothing to show you. I just explain everything I see, hear, witness, everything. So on the back of that, it's going to be difficult to, I suppose, prove that I did what I did, unless you believe me or not, or it resonates or whatever. There are other readers who are going to be doing the same. If you're getting a mediumship reading or channeling a spirit, well, you're going to have to believe them. There's going to be an element of belief. But if they state that they're going to use cards or something like that and they don't show you, then I would say that's a red flag. Because sadly, there are grifters out there who will just make something up. Uh, and there is going to have to be an element of, well, I believe you're doing this. There's going to have to be that element of that. I like to think I can tell, but it is very hard. It is a minefield when it comes to that. But that's just something to bear in mind. If they're saying they're going to use tarot cards and then don't show you the cards, why? Well, what you're not telling us for? That's what I'd ask. And another on the back of it being like written readings and things, it made me think of Etsy. Etsy, although I've had one for years now, and I love my Etsy shop. You know, it's my bread and butter. it pays for my life now. This is my job. You know, that's my main customer base. Etsy isn't perfect though, and there are scammers on there, and I've mentioned it before, but one to be wary of is portals or connections to different gods. You don't need that. This is not specifically a reading thing, but there are people out there selling them at least 50 odd quid. Sometimes I've seen it into the thousands. A pact with Lucifer, a pact with Leviathan or whoever. These edgy demon names or powerful god names, and it's always like the mainstream gods. Zeus I've seen. Hecate, she gets lumped in with it a lot. You don't need this connection ritual or these portals to gods or whatever. That's BS. There's also, and this is not to do with readings, but haunted objects and things. Sometimes that's a red flag. This is a video for another time on spirit keeping. It's a whole culture online. People say they conjure spirits and put them into objects. Sometimes people say, oh, well, it's a haunted doll or whatever. Some of them may be genuine, but some of them, and I think a lot of them, are not genuine. Do you really know that it is? Are you not just getting ripped off here? That's another red flag I'd look out for. Also spells. And spells can be done in person as well. Don't get me wrong, it depends where you live. I mean, I know in America, around New Orleans, you know, you get a lot of spells being sold. And you go, girl or man who's selling it, you know, you sell your skills, do it. I just think certain spells are red flags, like a spell to win the lottery or £1 million. Now you can do money spells, prosperity spells. I've done them myself and they work. But it works within the law of the universe. You're not just suddenly going to have a windfall of £10 million if the circumstances weren't properly lined up. It's not going to happen like that. There are ways and means around things that can help you get more, but it's going to take quite a few different spells, time, persistence, patience. It is not just overnight, there you go, you've won the lottery. Red flag. I've also seen on Etsy spells for men to get bigger peepees. Red flag. It's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. Like, unless you can defy the laws of physics, that ain't going to happen. You can do spells to make you more virile. You can do spells to make you more fertile. But to physically change anatomy, no, I don't think so. It's going to take someone highly skilled to do something like that. And I don't think they're going to be found on Etsy. Also love spells now. That's a very popular thing. It always has been, always will be. But love spells, yeah, they can work to an extent. Even the ones you get on Etsy. But love spells, they go against the law of free will. All humans have free will. You're trying to change somebody's free will to your will. That's not allowed. So love spells may turn into obsession. They may turn into something like that. Like, they may lust for you, but it's never going to be true love. And it normally, 9 times out of 10, turns into something that you don't want. So that's a red flag I'd look out for and just be wary. of. And if somebody is going to be doing a spell for you, no matter what the spell is, if they don't send you evidence of that, then that is a red flag, because anyone can say, oh yeah, I've done it. Right? If they don't send you pictures, a video, how do you know that they've done that? So like the tarot reading thing, it's a red flag if they're not going to send evidence. That's all the red flags I could think of at the moment. I'll probably think of more, because that's me. I always do. Let me know, is there any red flags you can think of, what to watch out for with tarot readers, psychics, mediums, spells? What would you look out for? Over-promising, under-delivering. Let me know in the comments. If you made it this far, you may as well hit subscribe. Until next time, stay safe and stay witchy. Bye.